Hey, hello friends, this is Pastor Scott, and we are exploring authentic worship through authentic community. I'm so glad that you are part of this life group study, and maybe you're part of a group meeting in a home or at the church. Maybe you're even doing this study online and participating in that way. So whatever way that you're participating, I hope that God will continue to work in a deep way of drawing us into the freedom and joy of worshiping Him with our whole heart, mind, and strength. This last Sunday, Pastor Tim shared a message with us about restraining order and finding generosity in worship. So in the sermon, he was preaching to us about how part of worship is having that understanding of all that God has done for us, and living out of that gratitude brings generosity into our lives. In our group, we're going to be thinking about that as we think about the way in the Old Testament and the Hebrew Scriptures, the temple was that place of worship. But there was a problem that came in that time of worship. So before we get into that, just a reminder that I hope you've had an opportunity to do your spiritual health inventory and to think about those things. If you haven't, maybe you're new to a group or just joined the study, make sure you pick one of those up. Your group leader has some, or they're always available in the foyer of the church as well. So make sure you do that inventory, because it will increase the chances that you really will increase those practices in your life for spiritual formation. So as we think about community, we go back to the Old Testament, and we're going to talk a bit about the prophet Haggai. And the prophet Haggai lived in a very interesting time. In 586 BC, the Babylonians had destroyed the temple of God, burned the city of Jerusalem to the ground. And for 70 years, God's people were living in exile in Babylon. But then they had an opportunity to come back to Jerusalem and rebuild the temple. When that process began, they were rebuilding the walls of Jerusalem, they were rebuilding the city, and the time came to rebuild the temple itself. However, here's what happened. An incredible gift of beautiful cedar paneling from Lebanon was given in order to rebuild God's house. But here's what happened. The people thought this paneling was just amazing. You know, cedar paneling was very hot right then. HGTV was showing it, and Joanna Gaines was saying, paneling, that's what you need in your house. So the people said, let's put the beautiful cedar paneling meant for God's temple in our own homes. Whoa! So check out this passage here from the prophet Haggai. In Haggai chapter 1, verses 2 through 4, this is what the Lord of heaven's armies has said. These people have said, the time for rebuilding the Lord's temple has not yet come. But the Lord's message came through the prophet Haggai as follows. Is it right for you to live in your richly paneled houses while my temple is in ruins? Ooh! This is cutting straight to the heart of the matter. The people, instead of worshiping God with this beautiful gift of paneling, said, this is pretty cool. I'm going to put it in my own house. So the idea of worship also taps into thinking about, where is our treasure? Jesus himself said that where our treasure is, there our heart will be also. So the place where we begin to invest our time, our money, our effort, our heart is pulled in those directions. In this case, the people had invested in their own homes, invested in their own welfare, and forgot about God's temple, the place where they went to worship Him. And God took notice of that and sent the prophet to say, you're living in the beautiful paneled homes while my temple lies in ruins. We also find that the prophet Malachi, in this same time period, challenges the people. God says, test me in this. Bring the whole tithe into the storehouse and see if I will not pour out an incredible blessing to you. So when we think about authentic worship, when we think about really worshiping God with all of our heart, all our soul, all of our strength, part of that is, where are we investing our time, our money, our energy, our effort? If we were to look at our calendar, if we were to look at our bank account, would there be obvious evidence that we are worshiping God and putting Him first? The message this week is a challenge for that of, are we worshiping God with generous hearts? Are we serving His kingdom first? In your group tonight, you're going to be looking at some passages here from Haggai, from Malachi, and thinking about serving God and putting Him first in all that you do. So let's let the Holy Spirit challenge us in a way that says, are we worshiping God with our whole heart and bringing our time, our talent, and our effort in serving Him with authentic worship? God be with you as you study these passages in your group.